Trump went on this riff about windmills and how the more windmills they have in a country, the worse it is.
We have it. Hold on, let me interject it quickly, but hold your thought because I do want to hear the back end. SOT 3 here.
There are windmills all over Europe. There are windmills all over the place, and they are losers. One thing I've noticed is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses and the worse that country is doing. China makes almost all of the windmills, and yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that? It's a good way of looking at it. They're smart. China's very smart. They make them, they sell them for a fortune. They sell them to the stupid people that buy them. Other than that, I think they're fabulous, by the way.
Go ahead, Tom.
It's classic Trump. I do want to fact check him on the wind farms in China and see how many there are.
Well, there's wind farms all over Texas, Tom. I mean,
well, yeah, of
they
course.
exist.
Yeah.
Well, of course, under Joe Biden, they were subsidized, but they're a fucking nightmare. Excuse me, they're a nightmare. Those wind farms are disgusting. They barely get like the light in the studio on, and they're an eyesore, and they're killing the whales. They really are. Go look at Michael Schellenberger's documentary.
They kill the whales.
on
They
it.
kill the birds.
They're terrible.
I mean, they're
for
really
sea life.
actually not very good on a variety of levels. But
they're toxic. Those huge blades. They're as long as like a 747 aircraft, and there are multiple of them on each windmill. One falls into your water, your summer's effed. Your kid's not going into the ocean. It's like broken toxins everywhere. For what? So like you can. The same as like me blowing air in the studio. It's barely any energy. It's a nightmare. Sorry, I've got strong.
I was going to say, how do you really feel about windmills, Megyn?
Because I spent my summers at the Jersey Shore, and we've been dealing with this for years now. So I've become a bit of an expert on them, and they're really, truly a nightmare for the environment. Like you may think that they may help with global warming. Let me tell you something they don't help with. The environment, the existing Earth, is completely toxified and polluted by windmills, and for what? We're the coal captains of the world. We have tons of oil. We have so many wonderful natural resources that we can tap into that is more than like blowing like a little desk fan at the expense of our wildlife and our sea life and our vistas up and down the beautiful east and west coasts of America. Sorry, Tom.
That's okay.
You triggered Megyn, Tom.
I did. You know, a couple of decades ago, I remember when it dawned on me when Ted Kennedy was like, you know, all the liberals were like, we gotta have wind, we gotta have these wind farms, and Ted Kennedy was like, you're not putting those things off of Martha's Vineyard, you know, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I wonder why. So anyway,
and look what happened. Look what happened 2 summers ago. A windmill collapsed. It had some sort of a problem, and the blades fell into the water. And the people in Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard were affected and couldn't swim, and the kids were like not able to go in the water. It's just like taking a toxic stew, dumping it into your ocean, and then putting your 3-year-old in it. It's a no. I mean, I already lived that swimming in the Hudson River at my grandparents' boatyard in the 1970s. I could have been at NASA, okay? But because of that, I wound up sitting at this desk of trying to save the next gen.
That is great. Well, that was quite a digression, I must say. Yeah. What were we talking about? No, look.
Well, he's right about the windmills. That's the point. And he was attacking Europe on energy.
Exactly, and he is right about the windmills. But it speaks to this this idea that, again, the message of the Trump administration going to Davos, in addition to speaking about Greenland, was, hey, we're pursuing policies that are different from what you guys have all been pursuing here at the WEF and all your Davos elites for the last 40 years. And we've come here to say those policies have failed. And the proof is in the pudding. If you look at growth rates across Europe and birth rates across Europe and mass migration and all of the welfare that all the money they spent. We talked about this on our show a little bit. You can see the pendulum is now swinging back in the other direction in places like Denmark and Sweden and some of those countries these are not populous countries necessarily. And they've imported all of these migrants from Northern Africa, have completely changed the nature, the landscape, and the culture. And so I think this is a message that deep down in their hearts, they already know. A lot of Europeans already know that they've been on the wrong track. And as I said, you know, Trump is saying, and I think he said, I'm Scottish and German, and you know, I was derived from Europe, and we want Europe to succeed. We want Europe to be strong and prosperous, and we will be great partners with you, but you need to be sort of get your own houses in order. And I think that message, it resonates. It resonates, I think, at home with Americans, but it also resonates with a lot of people abroad.
Yeah.
Here's a little bit more on the energy point, Sat 2, where he hits them for relying on others for energy in Europe.
Here in Europe, we've seen the fate that the radical left tried to impose on America. They tried very hard. Germany now generates 22% less electricity than it did in 2017. And it's not the current chancellor's fault. He's solving the problem. He's going to do a great job. But what they did before he got there, the United Kingdom produces just 1/3 of the total energy from all sources that it did in 1999. Think of that, 1/3. And they're sitting on top of the North Sea, one of the greatest reserves anywhere in the world.
And we've heard this from him for a while, Carl, because he's very proud of bringing down gas prices here in America with the drill, baby, drill. All options are on the table, and has been touting as he hit his 1-year mark in the second term, how gas prices have fallen even below $2 in some places. I mean, it's remarkable. Speaking of my childhood, when I learned how to drive back in 1987, I remember it was like a big deal if the gas prices, if you could find one that was under $1. Now that was like 40 years ago, my God, not quite, but like 4 decades ago, is about $1 a gallon. And Trump's talking about under his energy policies, in more and more places, it's under $2. And in several places, it's just over $2 a gallon. That is huge. And he's standing up there, all these European leaders saying, you could have the same if only you didn't pursue this obscene climate change agenda, which is holding you back. And as a result, holding us back in our partnership with you.
Yeah, I think that's right, Megyn. I don't want to agree with you, but I do. So the thing is, though, this, we used to hear this. When Trump was first elected, I moderated a panel. Real Clear did an event. I think American Petroleum Institute was the sponsor. And because it was Real Clear, I said, okay, you can have some petroleum guys there, oil, gas, coal. Let's get some. I won't mention windmills, Megyn, but I'll mention solar.
Thank you.
And straight out conservationists. We had and nuclear. And the nuclear guys were amazing because they looked like they'd had a reprieve. The global warming, my beef with the global warming scare always was this: if you really believed all these things you're saying, you would champion nuclear power, and they never did. They opposed it. Same people, groups like NRDC that really should know better. And it was partly cultural. They came from the left and there was no nukes. I understood the coalition politics element of it. But if you really believed in global warming was a threat, you would have all of the above. And they would say all of the above, but they didn't really mean it. They meant all of the above except natural gas, coal, and, fossil fuels. But they didn't also want nuclear. Germany and these countries, they've stopped building nuclear power plants. They've taken coal-fired.
That's crazy.
They've taken coal off. What is China doing? I don't know about China and windmills. Again, Tom's right. You have to fact check Trump. He just sort of wings it sometimes. But I know
our information is they do have windmills in China and I presume wind farms. I think it's a question of scale, like how many.
But they're also building.
How much
they're building nuclear power plants. They're building coal-fired plants. China really is doing all of the above. And if you cared about the economy and the environment, because you have to care about both, you would favor these other sources that are the disfavored sources, particularly nuclear power. And so what Trump is talking to these guys, he has his own way of speaking. What he's telling Europe is use some common sense. For Germany to take these plants offline and not build nuclear power plants and then have to buy gas from Russia while they're trying to oppose Russia, it's a mess of governance. And what he's really saying to them, I think, is, roll up your sleeves, get to work, do good for your economy, quit being so politically correct, quit being hamstrung by, your ideology or what's the fad of the moment. He's talking to them like he's a business guy. And I think that's a message they probably need to hear. And most people in Europe probably want to hear.
Andrew, when I listened to the speech today, it was very much in line with that speech J.D. Vance made when he was over there and speaking to our European counterparts. Like, you got to stop this. You got to stop with the open borders and the mass migration. You got to stop with the free speech crackdowns. Like, if we're going to have this longstanding partnership where we're BFFs and special relationship, start acting like it. Like, start behaving like something that is familiar to us. And to me, this was Trump completely doubling down on that with a slightly different angle. He mentioned those things, but his overall message to me was, stop with the freeloading. Like, those days are done. You had the president of the European Union stand up yesterday and say, oh, well, I guess times are changing. And while we're really nostalgic for the way it used to be, we have to accept it. And we're going to have to just lean into our independence here in Europe. And you had all these leftists crying a tear, like, oh, he's broken up our BFF relationship with Europe. And Trump is looking at them saying, no, you're the leech friend who always makes me pay when we go to the movies. Everything we do, we have dinner, I pay. We have drinks, I pay. We go to the movies, I pay. And by the way, I'm not even asking you to pay when we go to the movies. I'm just asking you to not object when I go into the Radio Shack and steal that radio. A new year means new financial goals, like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Will this be the year you decide to talk to somebody from Birch Gold Group? You've been thinking about it. They use an educated approach with a deep understanding of macroeconomics. There are forces pushing the dollar lower right now and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So until January 30th, if you are a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, just text MK to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you are still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Consider making right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by January 30th. Text MK to the number 989898 and claim your eligibility today. Again, text MK to 989898 now. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.